Like I have all the I get more advantages than you. Higher end PCs in PC gaming are pay to win. Yeah.
MMOs are meant to be an enclosed system. It's meant to be a living world where everybody's equal within that system. Of course you can get faster internet. Of course you can get a better monitor. Like
now we have New World coming up.
Is it coming up finally?
There's an equal standard within
Yeah, it looks like we got New World finally.
Hold on. Oh yeah, I see it in the background. Let me turn this up.
Game director Scott Lane.
All right. Yay! Finally.
Senior producer Katie Kaczynski. And Rob Chesney, narrative director
expecting
at Amazon
anything
Games,
for us.
here to tell us more and
Just
break down
FYI.
everything we may have missed in this brand new trailer. Guys, welcome to the stage.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us here at IGN Live. Now, before we jump into the trailer, I need to know, what are you guys most excited for players to experience in New World Eternum?
I'm excited. I'm crazy excited to bring Eternum to console.
Yeah,
we want to
that's a good move.
get all those players in on the consoles, having massive battles, experiencing the combat. It's really awesome.
Sounds like they've stacked the.
I'm super
the
excited
audience.
that all these new players are going to get to see this world now fully realized. We talk about, Eternum looks like a fantasy game in some ways, but we actually talk about it as a supernatural world, which means everything that's going on the island is tied into science or history somewhere. And of course, this is the island of mythology and legend. So we have this broad canvas to draw from for our storytelling and deep lore that we get into. And for players to get in and see that, I'm super excited. Plus, it means a lot to me as someone who tends to play solo, that it's fully soloable all the way from start to finish. You can play with your friends too, but.
Yeah, and I am absolutely excited to play Eternum on my 4K TV, on my very comfortable couch, with my friends who exclusively play on their console or who exclusively play on PC. We're all going to be joined in the same world, and I am super stoked for that.
Let's go. I love that. All right, so without further ado, let's check out the trailer. Roll the clip.
Trailer. So far, nothing new.
Through the endless tides of time, they've come to these mythical shores, seeking mastery over death itself.
The voice acting they put in this game, I think, is top notch too.
A cruel and beautiful paradise.
The crowd is sus.
Where primal forces clash over the island's deepest secrets. Where ancient mysteries
I think it's an excellent
awaken.
trailer, by the way. Like, I love this trailer.
To unleash the power of legends. Where blades and bows unite. Where heroes are forged. And demons are born.
When you realize just how much of content creation is just BS in terms of that, like paid actors and all of that, it's like, you're like, wait a minute. Like, nah. What was it, the Dante's one, where they like hired actors to pretend like they were mad at the game?
Eternum.
So it made press. It's like, Yep.
Let's go. People are so excited here. Are you guys excited to see it? That was so jam-packed with tons of details. Guys, help me break it down. Let's roll the first clip, because here, in this clip, let's bring it up, we get a look at the Lost. So these are
And
one
Brian,
of the
do you have a link for the
factions in
stream?
Eternum, right? So
the
we
YouTube
kind of
stream?
get like this blue color scheme with them.
Yeah.
What can you tell us
Who
about
needs
the
it?
Lost?
Yeah, so the Lost
all right.
are an enemy type that you'll encounter in Eternum. The really interesting thing about Eternum is the death does not exist. So
you
as
go.
many times as you die,
PM do.
you don't really. And so the same thing happened to these poor people who landed
man, it's
before
a
you.
party.
What's up,
And
Nanny?
every time they were reborn,
Dance on
Eternum
me.
took a piece of them. They were lost to Eternum. So every time they come back till they look pretty mangled. And Eternum could do the same to you, but your soul is pretty strong.
Absolutely.
Soul Warden.
Now, in this next section of the clip, we get a look at this Dryad Deer, which is part of the Angry Earth faction, right? What is the Angry Earth faction all about?
So,
Yeah, this is
so
all
the Angry Earth
for people who
is-
have no
we,
idea.
We talk about Eternum as Paradise Lost. It's inspired by that very much. And it's the Garden of Eden where things have gone horribly wrong. And that's what the Angry Earth is. They are an expression of environmental vengeance, the world striking back against players, against the other forces that are contending for power on the island. The Angry Earth, sometimes, I mean, they're natural, so sometimes they're a little more sympathetic. Sometimes they might even help the players out a little bit against other enemies. But cross them, and you'll pay for it. Like, they can be really tough.
Yeah.
Chronic says, don't you guys not have consoles?
All right, so
Paul
we got to
says
look at
clapping
some of the
equals free
older tech.
drinks.
Now, in this next clip, we actually see a little bit more modern tech via the musket. What can you tell us about how all these different eras collide?
It was one of the things that we found really interesting early in IP development, because there's this period in time, it's almost like the last gasp of people with shields and swords and breastplates, and then the very first breath of gunpowder and muskets and firearms. And when you throw some magic into that, it just creates chaotic, interesting gameplay, and we loved it. That was one of the key drivers in picking this era.
Yeah,
That is
and
awesome.
you'll see in this clip one of our archetypes. So this is actually the musketeer archetype, and we pair at the beginning, we pair this with the rapier. So you have some really interesting abilities that you can do.
Absolutely. Now, in this next clip, we get a look at a tree that's pretty impressive and it looks pretty significant. What can you tell us about the tree that's coming up right now?
So that's the Azoth tree, and Azoth is the lifeblood of Eternum. It is a soul substance. It's tied into the soul of the island, the soul of all the people here. And it's also the
Exactly
source
what I
of magic.
expected.
It's the reason why everyone lives
Exactly.
forever. And we talk about even like there are ley lines running underneath the ground throughout the island, channeling this stuff. Players, of course, learn to harness it as they go deeper into the game, and it powers up a lot of their actions. And it's the tree itself is actually a manifestation of Gaia, one of the ancients, and a sacrifice that Gaia made to empower the island, imbue the island with the blessings that the players enjoy and all the people there.
Amazing. Now, people are so excited. I love it. Now, in this next clip, we get a look at the different weapon types in combat. What can you share about what we're looking at right here? So we see a musketeer. We see some magic in the background. Tell me more.
Well, this kind of demonstrates the combat of Eternum, right? We have physical-based dynamic combat, and what we mean by that is your position in the world matters. You block, you dodge, you can duck underneath weapons and arrows and projectiles. And so what you see there is the musket, which is part of our musketeer archetype, and we have, 6 more archetypes that you can play? So, yeah.
Amazing. Now, I am so excited to check out this next clip because we see this shattered obelisk that is immediately attention-grabbing right here. What can you tell me about the background for this location in particular?
So this is a pretty iconic location in the game that you see in the first several hours. And we talk about the history of Eternum. We don't talk about, it's not in centuries, it's in millennia. This is a world, an ancient world. We have ancient Sumerians, Babylonians, Chinese who came to this island. But even before them was this ancient civilization, and players see the ruins of it almost as soon as they land. And there's kind of a mystery about who were these ancients? What were they doing? Why did they summon humans to the island? And then what happened to them? And the Shattered Obelisk is it is part of that. It's one of the big clues in that mystery.
Yeah,
Flup
and you kind
drops a $5 super chat. Thank you, Fluffy.
Probably
What
my
is this new
favorite
game
piece of Journey
that is
through
launching on
Eternum,
console?
Which is there's this mystery that you're just constantly trying
Thank
to
you, man. I appreciate that
unfold, and
support.
the minute that you think you get it, you realize that you don't. So you don't know if this like magical element is coming from Eternum itself, was maybe brought to Eternum, or is not of this world at all.
Yeah.
And one,
Yeah.
and one interesting thing about this, so in game development, generally what happens is you have a narrative and then that drives the concept art and how the art is created. In this case, one of our artists took it on themselves and they made this really cool thing. And we liked it so much that we had to write a narrative around this and get it into the game.
Yeah.
It was a little bit
That's
backward.
This is true.
We love to hear that. That's awesome.
Oh man, I hate marketing
Now, we talked
events
about the
like this
mystery,
so
we
much.
talked about the narrative, we talked about combat, but in this next clip, we actually get a look at this boss that looks absolutely crazy. What can you tell me about this monstrosity?
This enemy is absolutely diabolical. I can't tell you too much because we're trying to keep some things a surprise, but I can tell you that that's one of the enemies in our 10-person raid.
Oh, 10-person raid. All right.
Yeah.
Now, we were chatting a little bit backstage, and this next clip shows me one thing that I think, Scott, you're pretty excited about. Here is resource gathering in just a second. What can you tell me about the resource gathering in New World Eternum?
We
I
have
think
resource
I'm so glad we
gathering.
stopped here because a lot of times when you get into games, it's all combat, energy, action, action. And New World gives players an opportunity, if you're not in the mood for that, if you want some more chill gameplay, hit rocks, cut down trees. It actually feels really good. You can support your friends. So if you socialize with people who like a different style of game, they can go craft and make things that can make you better at the game. And on top of that, they can completely change the world. You could get a group of 3 or 4 people and deforest the forest, so when someone comes through there, it looks totally different this time.
Amazing. Now, I want to keep rolling in the trailer because there's so much to break down. In this next clip, we see a giant ice creature, and I need to know more.
Clapping
Tell me
seals.
about who this is, how people can face them.
Yeah, so this is another one of our bosses in a 5-person expedition. So you're going to encounter them in the Glacial Tarn. And the very high-level backstory is that there are these giant machines deep in Eternum that somebody put there to try and gather all of the supernatural resources of the world. And this ice giant is part of that. And your job is to stop one of your enemies from taking over those machines and gathering that energy and power.
Absolutely. Now, in this next clip, we see
That's a good
exactly
pull, man.
what I would expect to
Good
take an
pull.
ice giant down, a fire staff. This looks so cool.
Yeah.
I thought you
so
guys would
in
like that. I was
Eternum,
like,
different
all right.
damage types will damage enemies differently. So what is the natural predator of
All right,
ice?
I'm back.
Fire.
Grab some vegetables from my neighbor.
I think she
Welcome
left
back.
out an important piece, though.
Guys,
What could
if
be
you
cooler
haven't
than
seen, we have a
17th
poll
century
rolling right
flamethrower?
now. I think
don't
it's
even know
the
what else
most
to
critical
say.
poll we've ever put out here on the
Not
channel.
agree more. We love
That's the most
flamethrowers
important poll
here.
in world
Now,
history.
in this next clip, we are in an entirely different biome.
yeah,
Tell
my
me
neighbor's
about
got, like,
this
a
sort of
whole
more like
vegetable
sandy
patch back
area.
in his
What
backyard.
is this
Growing
location
entire
all
heads
about,
of
right?
like stalks of corn.
Oh wow.
After this.
Got some of them off of.
Wait for
Wait
it.
for it, wait for it, wait for it.
There it is.
Yeah, right
got other
here.
stuff.
So
That's just the
we
only
get
stuff
some
I
different
cared about.
things in the foreground and the background. Talk to me about this location.
So this is Brimstone Stands. It's one of the later zones in the game. It's the biggest one. It's massive. I mean, a vast desert just packed with interesting stuff. Narratively,
some
you know what I
static.
love
Is that
about it
on
is this is
Nanny?
this is the place where the
think I'm
ancient
getting some static
Egyptians
on your
landed
mic.
when they came to Eternum thousands of years ago, and the Romans
some
came
static
later.
on your mic.
And there's kind of an interesting dynamic between them, the conflict between them that's still sort of
I'm going to mute you for just a
present
short
in the
second.
zone today. Players, as they go, and this is, I will say, as somebody who likes to explore, this is the best zone to explore.
They are
in
really
all of
lacking
Eternum.
authenticity.
There's so much to do, and there's so many ruins, and you see in the image there the Ennead, which is a pyramid, one of the ancient ruins
No.
where the ancients once channeled the
don't
power
hear,
of
at
the
least.
stars.
This
But as
is
players go
like-
around and
it's like
visit
they're
the
talking
Ennead
about
and these other
the
ruins,
game
they're
that,
going
like, it's
to.
new.
It really gives you that
Yeah.
feeling of being a treasure
Right.
hunter, like
And it's
Indiana
just
Jones.
not-
You know, it's like that cool. For me, it's really fun. It's a unique part of
Are
Eternum.
we talking about
love
like
it.
the
It
new
sounds like
world
a
and the
Yeah.
changes
shrouded
and all that?
mystery.
Yeah.
As far as-
Now,
All
we're in
this,
the
all
Sandy
they're doing
area.
is just
And up next in
Talking
this
to
clip,
the
we're gonna look at a
non-
pretty
you know,
particular
the-
enemy
Yeah,
type.
it's
gonna be
What can
new
you
to the
tell me
people who have not
about the
been able to
giant
play. We're
sandworm that we
People
see
who have
right
never
here?
played the game, never heard of
Look
it.
at that beautiful
But
face.
To them,
they-
it will be a new
Yeah,
experience.
that's Shauna Shen.
they
So Shauna
led up
Shen, you can
this
actually
entire
see in
event
the open world
to
in
say, like,
Brimstone
we'll tell you,
Sands.
yeah.
And you can
Yeah,
join a
feels
20-person
very
elite
appealing.
trial,
basically
get some
portrayed as
badass rewards,
for
and
the
take
for the
Shauna
current
Shen
users,
down
but they basically
yourself.
presented
Amazing.
as for the new users.
Now, up next, we
Yeah.
see something that I'm pretty excited
Man, this
about.
just
We get a look
seems-
at the pre-order bonus mount,
Not the right
the
call, huh?
Azoth Stalker.
This is not the right call.
What can you tell me about the different mounts that are shown right here in the trailer?
Maybe they would have been
Pre-order
better
bonus
off
you
mount.
can
down
see a
little bit
few
of
of our
bar.
different mount
bonus
types
mount,
here.
okay.
My favorite is
That's
the
always
Dire
fun.
Wolf, and that
I've
is
not
the Azoth
played
Stalker
since
in the
before
center.
they ever added
That's
mounts,
the
so
pre-order bonus, which,
not too
if you're
familiar
on
with how nice
PC,
those
you
are
get a
now.
chance to grab that as
What?
well if
Yeah,
you
Saber,
log into
you
the
did.
game between June
They're
7th
okay.
and October 14th. So
Amazing.
they look so cool.
So if you're on PC at home, make sure to
Squares,
check
give us
that
more
out.
money.
Now, we are
Yeah, really,
almost
it's just-
towards the end of the trailer, but we get this really striking
PC.
location in the
You
next
said
clip.
PC.
Talk to me about
But
what's
that's it.
going on in this more like mountainy location right here. We see this sort of gate and this like really
They
impressive
may
mountain
just be a little
behind.
out of
Yeah,
touch.
so as you
and,
land on the
need
beach,
to learn
you
a
start the
lesson.
game in this
really
very
out of touch.
tropical, beautiful area, and you
Like-
quickly learn
But
that the
it also
nemesis in
depends
Chapter
on
1 is the
how
They're in
Tempest,
touch
which
with
we'll
your wallet.
talk about here in a minute.
responds.
This is, as you get further and
They're in
further
touch
into
with the
the
wallet.
island, it gets harder and harsher and scarier. What you're seeing there is you're in Great Cleave, and you're about to enter Shattered Mountain, which is where the
I
Tempest
lost all
lives.
my
This
trust
is
in
where the game
IGN
gets
when it
ultra
was clear they
scary,
were
gets
driven more
much
by
harder and more difficult,
activists
and
than
it kind of opens
gamers.
the door. And as soon as you get through the door, you'll see
Yeah, I
what you
don't
run
think
into.
IGN
Too much-
has it.
too much
Yeah,
water.
It's a lot more intimidating by
much
those
wa-
red
like, all right.
tones. In this next clip, we
IGN
get a look
is-
at this sort of. I'm assuming it's a boss. What can you tell me about this creature coming up right here? We get the eyes sort of like teasing it.
And
We
then
get
they
sort
brought
of
up
walking
even more
towards this
people,
giant
so
could that
fire
be
circle, And then we
Isabella?
finally get the reveal
Huh.
right here. Talk to me about the Tempest.
So that's showing all the players getting up to this point, but that is
Who
the
could
Tempest. She's
Isabella
the
be?
villain
Who
of
is
the,
this creature?
The first chapter
my,
of the story in New
Isabella.
World of Turnham.
She looks
and
different.
she is she has this really interesting backstory. She was once a human just like the players, but she embraced the power of corruption, which obviously comes at a
Brian, how
cost.
do you feel
but,
to be a paid beta
It also gives her
tester?
great power, and
I
she
feel
gets
fine.
her hooks
Like,
in the player. at the
I've
very
gotten my
beginning of the
money's
game,
worth with
and,
New
kinda
World.
Gets in your head, and she's taunting
I'm not
you and
bitter by
teasing
that.
you as
I'm
you go through
frustrated
the
with how
island,
they handled
trying to make you
2024 with their
corrupted.
communication
And so that's
and
one of
this
the motivations
and this
for the
marketing.
players is to
I feel
prevent
like
her from turning
I
them
was
corrupted, as well as
promised
to stop her
something, and I
from
have not yet
world
seen what that
domination,
is.
Of course.
Yeah, she
and
definitely
why it's a
tries to
value,
get
and so
into your
I think-
mind, that's for sure. And
think the devs
cool
really
thing about her
mishandled
is
it.
that we showed
Herbert,
you the
Tempest is
multiplayer, the
not the new
5-person
dungeon coming out. It
expedition. You
came
can
out
also
like
take her
years
on
ago.
one-on-one.
It's in the game.
It was like one of the first new
Amazing. Yeah,
dungeons
we got
to
a
come
lot
out.
of
It's a
solo
great
players
dungeon
here. I love
too.
it.
Dungeon.
Now,
Yeah,
in this
but
next
not
shot, we
new.
see a sweeping
couple
shot
years old,
of the
I think.
island.
Yeah,
There
year and a
is
half at
lot
minimum.
to take in. We
Yeah.
get, a visual of the mountain here, the gate, the obelisk. What might people miss in this sweeping shot of the island?
Yeah, so
I mean,
the main story takes you through a lot of what we talked about, but in the upper right part of the shot, there's an area of the map that we don't guide you to, and it's only up to the intrepid adventurers to go off on their own, off the beaten
Oh,
path, and
wow.
discover what areas are over there and what enemies lurk in those corners. And then on the other side, we have some of those ancient machines I talked about, which are up to, again, the journeyers to explore.
Love it. And then, of course, we got a lot of explorers in the audience.
They did
They're
show some
eating this up. I
game.
love it.
It wasn't all CGI,
Finally,
it was a
we
blend
see
of
the
it.
world seemingly
they
taken
showed
over
in-game
by
footage, but it
corruption.
wasn't all.
Right before we go to the key art game end card, what is the meaning of this shot? Talk to me about it.
Well, so of course, seeing the
You think this will
corruption
be
sweep
60
over the world,
FPS?
this is what will happen if the player wasn't there to stop it from
console?
happening,
I
right, to face
imagine
down the
so.
tempest. Corruption is an insatiable evil, and unlike the Lost and the Angry Earth that we talked about.
And why did you give us an
corruption
ability
actually
that's
comes from
corruption-based
somewhere
if it's an
else, and that's one of
insatiable
the
evil?
mysteries of the game is where corruption comes from.
That's my-
But I definitely
yeah.
want to call out this
Like, they don't
helmet
care
here
about their
because
lore.
it's one of the most iconic things in the game. It's associated with Captain Thorpe, the captain that the players are on his ship when they shipwreck on the island at the very beginning. He's kind of a brutal dude, and he falls to corruption very quickly and becomes your first really big enemy. And if you look at his helmet there, you can see a lot of like little hints and clues about the mysteries of Eternum kind of embedded there.
All right, guys, so that is the end of the trailer. But before we wrap up, I need to ask you guys, what can you tell us about how the experience has changed for players over the last 3 years from New World to New World Eternum?
So honestly, it would be a lot easier to talk about what hasn't changed because the list of what's changed is so big. I think for me, the biggest change is the beginning of the game and the end of the game. The way we tell the story, the way we carry players through it, the part of the story. But then the end game has gotten so big and so rich, and there's like, and a lot of times when you play an RPG, when you get to the end of the level, whatever, or the cap level, you run out of content. Well, here, that's just a portion. Like, that's when the game really starts. It opens up into this giant world.
Yeah, and I will say, if
Brain
you're
Eclipse, you
somebody
haven't
who
missed
started
anything.
playing in 2021 and you stopped, you're going to come
The
back to a
announcement
completely
was
different game. If you're somebody
Yeah.
who played yesterday, this is a
Basically not even an
continuation of that
announcement.
really fun
If you were a
journey
new
that
player,
you're
this
on.
was great.
And if
If
you're
not,
a console
if you're a
player,
veteran,
this is
you're SOL.
Eternum is the ultimate New World experience.
I think it's going to do really
Scott,
well when it
Katie,
comes to console.
Rob,
Like, I
thank
think
you so
this
much
fall
for
is gonna
joining
be
us here
pretty
and helping us break
massive.
down the trailer. New World Eternum is available October 15th on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and PC. And remember, for all things New World Eternum, keep it locked to IGN Live.
Yeah, don't keep it locked to IGN Live because you're just going to get bullshit. Oh, goodness gracious. Well, everybody, I got exactly what I expected.
Same.
I was like, this was at least, I knew I was going into this. I was like,
End game in New World chest run. Yeah, basically. Like,
right. Well, and that's the thing. Like,
the end game in New World is not endless. It's
no, it very well, like, you get to 700 and you're like, all right, like, there doesn't feel like to be
anything we
much to
said
chase.
new?
No,
No.
nothing in this.
Nothing was new.
Nothing here that was new. This was more, and this was, I expected this to be just more of the same. I do think, and I'll probably, if they don't do it on Monday, I'll put out a video. They need to talk to their players this Monday. The Forged in Eternum that used to come out every Monday, but then they were like, well, we're going to stop doing that because we hear that you guys are getting frustrated because everything just keeps saying wait till June, wait till June, wait till June. Like, they need to sit down and have that conversation with us this Monday. And if they're gonna just pussyfoot around and not talk to their players, yeah, then what we will be doing this summer will be technically glorify beta testing, or we'll be playing PAX Day and Final Fantasy. Like, the nice thing is, the best thing out of all of this news is there's going to be something fun, whether you want to play with this community or not. We're going to have a fun summer. That in and of itself is something that I can guarantee. I cannot guarantee whatever the hell, like, we're going to be satisfied with what they do in New World, but I want them to succeed. I think this fall is going to be phenomenal. I think this fall is going to be absolutely phenomenal. And speaking of PAX Day, and I want to let Val talk for a second, but one second, Val. Speaking of PAX
I don't know what they're doing.
one second, Val.
Hold on a second.
No.
1 second. But speaking of PAX Day, guys, if you want to be more connected, the top link in the description will get you into the Discord, whether you want to be part of the New World stuff or you want to PAX Day or whatever. Generally speaking, we have a pretty, chill group community here that you're welcome to join. All right, now go ahead, Val.
Oh, wait, hold on a second. Bring back Fluffy Dogs for 5.
Oh,
To
snap.
be fair, I paid a lot more
This
to be a
is the-
beta tester for Ashes, so I got a deal on
Yeah,
New
I
World.
paid $250 for Ashes, and I'll be playing that this fall, whenever that happens. So yeah, like, all in all, I think I put more into Ashes than New World financially. Go ahead, Val.
Okay, now Val. Sorry. Is he on a delay?
This is the worst year to do it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, because of all the MMO expansions.
Yeah, I'm on a delay.
Oh, see, that makes sense because it was like, wait.
It's just bad in general because it's not just MMOs, it's every single game that's out this year.
Yeah, this year does have a lot of
They had a perfect time 2 years ago, and it's just done. Like they've I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, the weirdest thing though is like we haven't heard anything about Throne of Liberty. We haven't heard anything about Blue Protocol, and now we know that New World's coming out in October. Do they try to push one of the or two of those games this summer? Or does that tell us Blue Protocol might not even be out this year? They might just skip 2024 completely and let the devs continue to cook over on their end. I mean, that in and of itself is wild.
Paul brings up an interesting point. So they likely don't want to push more content into the live version then, and then Dot says makes sense, hold out on events, so they push a lot for console. It's like a...
I mean, I'm sorry, but you'll want more content if you're gonna, any content you do now, you can just push to console when it comes out, and that gives more content for console. That's not really a
console
excuse.
players who step into this game in October are going to, hey, what's up, Chili? Are going to be greeted with a wealth of content, right?
Yeah.
So for them who've never been able to play this and can step into like what I would describe as probably one of the most beautifully and sound engineered games that is just absolutely spectacular. And they're going to you got 65 levels. Who knows? Like the level cap could go up. We'll see. But you got 65 levels. You've got mounts. You've got this. You've got that. And it's like they're going to have, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of enjoyment. Problem is, I did my time. I'm just under 1,000 hours on this game. And that's incredible for me. It's not necessarily incredible for everybody. People are at 5,000 hours. But that, and I've got character at cap. I've got 700 gear. I enjoy the content. Let me know when the next dungeon's coming out, right? I'm looking forward to checking that out. Maybe I'll start making guides around that now. I don't know. Now that there's matchmaking, it's easier to kind of get into. One of the hardest things about it was that if you can't make a guide off the PTR, then you can't. And I was like, I can never figure out a party back in the day. So that's going to change, which will be great. But yeah, D says console will get everything PC wanted at launch. When they start, we've been had. We've paid to be beta players for console. Jokes on us. Now I think console is going to benefit the PC players as well. Like when you look at what the game needs, it needs a better player population. And with them adding in sharding, with them adding in obviously cross-server matchmaking, ultimately, hopefully that helps them solve their problem. Because whenever people want to play New World, everybody wants to play New World, and you always had that queue time. So they've had that problem where it doesn't matter what direction the game's going in, it's going to struggle. Hopefully what we see here with sharding and with the world in and of itself, when that marketing kicks in, when you see all the big streamers doing the fresh start servers and all that stuff, and the numbers just, oh my gosh, New World's back in the top 10, blah, 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 blah. When all that happens, hopefully it's not, well, I would play, but there's a queue,
When was the release date again? October, right?
Officially, it came out at the last week of September, but they've been pushing their updates basically in October. They're, you think of it like, honestly, when they announced the release date and then had to shift again, it's like they should have just October thing. That's usually when I expect these kind of updates. That's when Brimstone dropped. That's, when the expansion dropped. That's when this relaunch drops.
I will jump in on console again because I just don't really play on PC, so I'll probably jump. The issue is October is already for me stacked.
What's stacked for you in October? I'm just
I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan, as you know. They've got the new Dragon Ball game after a decade. It's really basically since the last game.
We're gonna be eating good on that one.
Well, you could, by the way, they're actually making it player created stories. You can make your own stories in an editor. And then have that online so other people can play it, which I find pretty cool.
Cool.
So if it's
and then also
October,
one of my first ever games.
Warhammer.
Yeah, and one of the first ever games I ever played was Sonic the Hedgehog, and Sonic Generations is also in October.
I'm interested to see what happens with Once Human. Do we have a date when that is officially out? Because I know First Descendant is the is July 2nd.
I thought they said I thought there was a beta
I'm interested.
soon.
I've heard a lot of really exciting things. Like I like shooter games. I'm hoping that we learned about some Gears of War this weekend. You know, like with the Xbox event tomorrow.
Right? Hopefully.
Yeah,
I might
everyone's
have
just
to.
talking
I
about
might
it
have
coming
to.
PlayStation, though.
I might.
Yeah.
Well, I'm fine with them bringing those games to PlayStation. Like, you want to see the Xbox tax like proved out? Bring your games to PlayStation and see how people are like, these games are amazing.
That's the thing. The news I only ever hear isn't like, what is Gear 6 going to be? The only thing you ever hear about it is, oh,
Thanks,
it's coming
Steve.
to PlayStation. You guys don't have games anymore. They're all of our games now.
By the way,
That's the only
talk.
talking.
Yeah.
July 9th. Yeah.
July. Yeah, July 9th.
Okay. And that's a beta though. That's not the launch, right?
No, I think that's.
For
It says
which game?
launch. I
Once
think.
human.
I think it's the launch.
Oh, well, if it's
Yeah.
launched in the
Release on
summer,
July 9th.
that well, who knows? We got a lot
And
of
you can
exciting things.
register now for extra rewards. So
Oh, shocker.
They've had 2 years
Numbers.
to make New World really good,
Mhm.
and now they're coming up probably what is the most stacked year in gaming history. Worse than last
yeah.
year.
Mhm.
the most stacked year in gaming history for online titles.
Yeah.
It's not that stacked if you think about it overall. I think it's quite a dead year when it comes to actual AAA titles. But if you're talking about online games, yeah, this is not the year to release anything when it comes to an MMO, in my opinion, because you're running against
Veterans.
ESO
Well,
this month.
New
which
World is technically a veteran MMO though too.
yeah,
You
true.
know, so it's like
Technically, yeah.
it's got content. Like it's not, you know, if somebody steps in
yeah,
on
but you're
console,
running against the kings.
yeah, you're running against the Kings, but the Kings also, the two big ones require a subscription, and so this ends up becoming like
That's
another a complete like, oh, I need to subscribe to play your game, not this one, you know.
2 of the 4 require subscription.
Cool. Looks like chat's talking about how it launches on into July, but you can actually play now regarding to humans. So maybe we'll try to find some time for that. I do know that you know, I'm going to be playing, you know, 10 days from now, PAX Day early access drops. I really hope that they said it's also coming to GeForce Now and early access, so hopefully that's day and date. Because that would be really great. Running it locally on stream, I had to crank up that DLSS because it was, you know, my stream and playing of the game was a struggle. The guys,
But yeah, no, June 18th is the ESO release on console.
yeah,
It's already out on PC right now. July 2nd, because I'm going to go with the official release. July 2nd is technically Dawn Trail. I know early access is June, but technically
yeah,
it's July. Then August, you've got Guild Wars 2, because they've got their new expansion in August. And then probably September, you've also then got the World of Warcraft expansion.
yeah.
Yeah. Is that September?
That's every month.
Cool. All right. Thank you, D. Hook me up with the information. Now, guys, this was kind of an impromptu. I didn't think I was going to be home for it, and then they delayed it for like ever. And so I've obviously run a little bit longer. Julie is home. And we've had a very long day, and I want to go be a good husband and not a in trouble husband. So I appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with me. I appreciate y'all. For those of you, 47 likes on the stream, 26 members here, and then 20 gifted members from Flup over on Twitch, and then $10 worth of super chat. So thank you guys so much for the support.
Let's make it to 50.
Nah,
50,
you guys,
50 likes, do it.
oh, 50
Come on,
likes. I was
50
like, I
likes.
thought you were trying to like challenge them to 50 members. I was like, dude, no. You guys being here is support enough. All right, guys, all that. I got to go adult, and I'm going to hit end stream, etc. I wish you guys all the best. If we might do something like this on Monday, because I'm expecting a Forged in Eternum. Hopefully I'm not let down, but we will see. So keep it locked to the channel on YouTube. Be a part of the Discord and come hang out with us in voice chat. Anybody's welcome to come in and, you know, speak their piece. So, all right, guys,